Welcome to this explainer. Look, what would actually happen if we followed a highly precise, structured psychological roadmap to fundamentally transform ourselves? And I'm not talking about just tweaking a few daily habits or setting some superficial goals. I mean a deep, profound shift over exactly 6 months. Today, we're diving into a framework discovered by the legendary Carl Jung. Think about it. The next 6 months of your life are going to pass anyway, right? You can either show up half a year from now stuck in the exact same loops, dealing with the exact same problems, or you can emerge as someone totally new, someone you barely even recognize in the absolute best way possible. But to actually pull this off, we first have to get brutally honest about why most of our attempts at transformation completely fail. You know the trap. We always think, oh, if I just get a new job, or if I just move to a new city, or if I just find a new partner, then finally things will be different. But let's be real, doing that is literally like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. You take yourself with you everywhere you go. You are the common denominator in every single one of your problems. Changing your external circumstances simply doesn't fix the internal structure. And that brings us right to Carl Jung's pivotal insight. You do not change your life by frantically trying to escape your current circumstances or your environment. Instead, you change your life by doing one very specific thing, changing your relationship with your own mind. True transformation requires diving inward. We have to stop looking at the outside world as the source of our stuckness and start looking at the internal operating system that's actually generating our reality. Now, you might be wondering, why is diving inward absolutely crucial? Well, it all comes down to one absolutely staggering statistic: 95%. 95% of your life, your automatic reactions, your biggest decisions, all of those frustrating repeating patterns is run by your unconscious mind. Until you make that invisible stuff conscious, you're essentially a puppet completely convinced it's pulling its own strings. I mean, really think about that for a second. Almost everything you do is on autopilot, directed by forces completely outside of your immediate awareness. Crazy, right? But notice the reframe here. We naturally tend to view the unconscious mind as this dark puppet master, an enemy that's actively trying to keep us stuck or sabotage our happiness. But here's the plot twist. Your unconscious is actually an inner guide. Those painful patterns that keep showing up over and over again, that is your psyche literally screaming at you to grow. They're profound solutions just trying to break through the surface. The real question is, are you ready to pick up the phone and listen to what it's trying to tell you? Which brings us to phase 1, mapping the shadow. So because you obviously cannot change what you cannot see, your only job for the first 2 months of this protocol is just to act as a detective and map out your inner world. You aren't trying to fix anything yet, you're just mapping what Jung famously called the shadow. Now please pay close attention to this definition because it is absolutely critical and honestly so often misunderstood. Your shadow isn't just your dark side or some evil twin. No, it is every single part of yourself, both good and bad, that you have pushed away in order to be accepted, to be loved, and to fit in. Yes, that anger you suppressed so you could be the nice one is in the shadow. But guess what? That ambition you hid to be seen as humble, that is in there too. Even the brilliant parts of you that you dimmed just so you wouldn't make other people uncomfortable, it's all trapped right there in the shadow. So, how do you actually find this hidden material? Well, for your 60 days of detective work, you've got 3 main actionable tools. First, track your triggers. You know that person who makes you irrationally angry? They are holding up a mirror to a disowned part of yourself. Second, track your projections. When you're absolutely certain someone else is arrogant or lazy, there is a very good chance you're just looking at your own shadow. And third, and I absolutely love this one, examine who you admire. Those qualities you put up on a pedestal in other people, that's actually your own unclaimed potential. It's your golden shadow, staring right back at you, just waiting to be claimed.
Moving on to phase 2, active imagination.
Okay, so once you have your map, the real adventure begins as we transition from merely observing to direct confrontation. But Jung's approach is super counterintuitive here. You don't fight these hidden parts, and you definitely don't try to get rid of them, you befriend them. The primary tool for this integration is a highly effective technique called active imagination. You literally sit down and have a conscious conversation, whether you write it in a journal or speak it out loud, with these rejected parts of yourself. You directly ask your inner anger, hey, what do you need? You ask your inner fear, what are you trying to protect me from? And then you simply listen to what comes up. And when you do this, the shadow quality actually transforms. Notice how that raw, rejected anger isn't there to make you violent. Its real purpose, once integrated, is to give you the necessary energy for firm boundaries. Or that selfishness you judge so harshly, it turns into healthy self-preservation. You see, you aren't becoming evil by integrating your shadow. You are reclaiming the incredibly valuable, powerful energy and life force that was trapped inside those raw emotions all this time. It's a total game changer. Next up, Section 3, the Crucible of Ego Death. All of this intense mapping and integrating eventually leads to a climax where your old identity simply cracks to make way for the new. The ego, that fragile mask you built just to get by in the world, it literally cannot contain all this massive, newly integrated energy. It has to shatter. Let's look at how this intense timeline unfolds. Months 1 and 2, you do the detective work and map the shadow. Months 3 and 4, you use active imagination to integrate those parts. Then comes month 5, which is this absolutely crucial period of just holding the psychological tension between who you have been and who you are becoming. You don't force it. You just sit in that creative fire. Until finally, in month 6, that new, significantly more authentic self begins to firmly crystallize. Section 4. Your daily psychological GPS. Now, navigating this deep process can be chaotic and honestly pretty overwhelming, so Jung insisted on 2 daily anchors to act as your psychological GPS, just making sure you don't get lost in the woods of your own mind. First up is dream work. Every single morning, write down your dreams. Treat them as direct, unfiltered emails from your unconscious, showing you exactly what it's currently working on. Second, you track synchronicity. You know those meaningful coincidences that suddenly give you goosebumps? Well, Jung believed these are not just random chance. They're profound moments when the outside world is literally mirroring your inner change, proving to you for sure that you are firmly on the right path. And that brings us to Section 5, the point of no return. If you stick to this GPS right around that 3 to 4 month mark, you are going to hit a terrifying threshold where going back to who you used to be becomes completely impossible. You'll know you're getting close to this point when things in your life actually start to fall apart. A relationship based entirely on your old masked self might just end. A job that perfectly fit your false identity suddenly becomes completely unbearable. Now, society might call this a failure, but we need to reframe this completely. This is actually a profound sign of success. Jung called this necessary destruction. Your old life, which was built on a false foundation, absolutely has to crumble in order to create a clearing for your true self to stand on. And that brings us to the final, ultimate question this entire process demands of you. Because real transformation, it isn't just about adding a few shiny improvements or superficial life hacks to your old self. It's about a complete psychological death and rebirth. It requires immense courage to let go of the very familiar suffering of your old identity, just to make space for the terrifying, unknown potential of your true self. So the question you have to sit with today isn't just whether you can change in 6 months, it's whether you are truly willing to.